Okay, so yesterday we saw the first verse of the 6th chapter. The 6th chapter is called Dhyana Yoga, Atma Sanyama Yoga, or sometimes they call it also as Abhyasa Yoga. The first verse was Om Shri Bhagavan Vacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yah Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Na Chakriyah. So what was the main gist of the first verse? The main gist of the first verse was that you may be a sannyasi, you may be a yogi, you may be a beginner spiritual seeker, you may be an advanced spiritual seeker. Doesn't matter, but what is important is cultivation of detachment. So Krishna is saying there that a real sannyasi or a real yogi, a real jnani, a real karmi, a real bhakta, whatever your qualification as a yoga seeker may be, a real seeker is the one who detaches from objectivity and move towards the truth. Unless we cultivate this essential, important trait in our spiritual life, we will just be meandering, roaming around only on surface. And the reason why we are not able to detach is the temporary objects in which we are involved, they seem too real for us. That's why many times in Indian context they will give the example of a frog in the well. Kupa Mandup it's called. Frog in the well means what? There are frogs that are born in the well and they stay in the well and then they die in the well. For them that little well is the beginning and the end of the world. And no frog can ever come out and look at the world outside. So for that frog, that well is the world. He is born in that world, he dies in that world, and that's it. So our objective living, our fascination and our action with our objective living is like that. And that's why I gave you a homework yesterday to at least one physical objectivity detach from and one mental objectivity detach from. Once you play with yourself, once you give yourself assignments like this one by one, then you will, this is real sadhana, then you will go into the habit of reducing one by one all your objective crutches. And that's why yesterday I spent some time on this word anashrita. Ana ashrita. Ashraya means refuge. Without taking refuge in any objectivity, detach yourself from all objectivities and surrender yourself truthfully, faithfully, sincerely on the path of the truth. That's why we yogis are not interested in temporary things. Not interested. So remember this. If you call yourself a yogi or a yoga practitioner, then you should know, no interest in temporary things. Again, please don't get me wrong, no interest doesn't mean no involvement. Interest and involvement are two different things. You may get involved in temporary pursuits, but what binds you to them is your attachment. We are like Velcro. You know, Velcro has two parts. One is the grabbing part, other is the part that allows to be grabbed. So our mind is the grabbing part. Many times I give this example. Our mind, and remember this, it's a good analogy. Our mind is like a glue, a glue. Now there are two types of glues. Our glue is like the industrial glue. Once it sticks, never comes out. And if it has to come out, it tears the surface that it is stuck on. It tries to take as much as it can. If I stuck an industrial glue, like those small tubes that you get, even your finger gets stuck to it. It's exactly like that. If you're not careful, your finger is stuck. So our mind is like that glue. I stick something there and I pull the paper out, even the color will come out with the paper. Our mind is like that. We have to transform that glue into glue of a post-it note. You stick, when the work is done, you pull out, no problem. No mark, no violence, nothing. So we have to transform the quality of the glue. And that glue is what does glue mean? Attachment. What is the basic quality of a glue? A quality of a glue is attachment. We have to change, transform it like that. Both have their own significance, but nobody will know that I had stuck a post-it note here. And that's the whole premise of a post-it note. Post-it note, now this is a little deflecting from the topic, but the glue of a post-it note was created by one chemist in the factory of 3M. You must know this company, 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, 3M, in the 60s. And so happened that he tested the glue and he was like, what rubbish glue is this? It doesn't retain anything. So forget it. So the chemical formulation was just lying there in the laboratory. And one day he had that thing. So what happened is, I think it was his Bible note or something like that, and he did not want to fold the paper and that his mark was slipping out. So he just took a paper and he stuck that glue and put his mark on the Bible. And when he came to read the Bible, he removed it and then stuck it again. And then removed it. And then after 1 or 2 days, he was like, hey, maybe there's actually a need for this glue. So it is said, and it is very important example which is generally given about purpose of anything. The glue was created, but it was lying purposeless for a few years before somebody actually recognized the need of such a glue. And now our life is almost dependent for message exchange on that glue. Okay. Now let's come to the second. Yam sanyasamiti prahu yogam tam viddhi pandava nahi asanyasta samkalpa yogi bhavati kaschana. So what does it say? Understand, O Pandava. Pandava is one of the names of Arjuna. So don't confuse, because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is addressing Arjuna with many names. So you need to know who is this new character. Not like this. Pandava means the son of Pandu, his father's name Pandu. That understand, O Arjuna, that what is spoken of in the scriptures as renunciation or Sanyasa is same as yoga. I am reading from my commentary. For he who has not renounced mental constructs cannot be a yogi. Now comes the next step. Okay, it gets more challenging for us now. Now first he said detach objects, now he's saying detach subject also. Now this will be even more difficult for us to understand. So let us see what is our translation saying. Our translation is saying what they call renunciation. Oh, it's similar. What they call renunciation, that know to be disciplined activity. Okay. O Pandava, O Arjuna, for no one becomes a yogi who has not renounced his selfish purpose. Selfish motives. Yesterday I told you what means selfish motives. Actually, yesterday I spoke a little about it. Selfish motive means number one, motive of trying to fill this vacuum. And number two, not just motive of doing, not just intent, but also hope of result to always be in your favor. See, every action has 2 or 3 parts. What are the parts of every action? Number 1, intention. Number 2, energy. And number 3, number 1, intention. Number 2, action. And number 3, the consequence. Every action has consequence. Even Newton agrees with that. According to the latest scientific research, even scientists agree that every action has an equal and opposite action. And this fits in the karmic framework. So whatever you do, you casually toss an orange seed and there is a potential of that seed flowering into a tree. Casual, even our casual actions will have some or other consequences. So what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying, before you do any action, try to find out where is this action coming from. And this is very important for us yogis. Am I doing this for mere satisfaction of my self-esteem? And especially with yoga teachers like us. If the number of students in your class is going to dictate your self-esteem, then you need to step back and detach from it. Why is Krishna asking us to give up selfish motives? Now this is something for us to contemplate. And this is a very, 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 very important point. Why renunciation? First, renunciation of external objects. Then, second stage is renunciation of selfish motives. Why is Krishna asking us to strip? Please understand, Krishna is asking us to do all this is because Krishna wants us to work from a premise that all that I seek is within me. Like that proverb, no? Give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he will eat for a lifetime. Krishna is asking us to give up self-centered motives. Krishna is asking us to give up our attachments to external objectives, because Krishna's whole premise is to divert our mind to the fact that, hey, please realize all that you seek is within you, and unless you step back and realize that all that I seek is within me, you will never really find what you have. Example. House. We own a house. We want to have an apartment. It's good, huh? It's not, I'm not saying give up everything. But the reason we want to have a apartment or house of our own is to satisfy the basic need of security. Basic, huh? I mean, you may want a big apartment to show off, but that's not the real objective of having an apartment. The real reason to have an apartment or a home of your own is to protection and security. Now there are so many people who have house, apartment, bungalows, castle, villas, but they are still not secure. While there are some people who have a small hut on the side of the mountain and they are happy. So security and happiness is not an external pursuit. Please understand this. And this is exactly what Krishna wants us to know. Krishna says, you may have an apartment, you may have a villa in the most gorgeous place on earth, but the job of the house is to give you security. But security in itself is your personal pursuit. Like so many politicians, no? There will be 100 guards around, security system, shatterproof, bulletproof glass, and still they will be insecure. Still they can't sleep. So the house was not able to give them the security that they were searching for. Why? Because the security is not external. Security is an internal variable, inner variable. Because fear is an inner variable, isn't it? Isn't fear an inner variable? Some people are afraid in some situations, some people are not afraid in some situations. Everybody's relative perception of fear is different. So Krishna is telling us that start detaching from things that don't make you look at perspectives from a proper way. Now, again, to correlate it with Bible, some verses from Bible if you want. Gospel of Matthew, this is a very famous word, very famous line. Chapter 5 verse 3. Blessed are poor in spirit, for theirs is kingdom of heaven. Not poor in spirit means, no, you have to understand it properly. Poor in spirit means meek, humble. Not poor in spirit means no motivation. Another verse is Matthew chapter 10 verse 39. And this is one of my favorites. And Krishna says like this many times. He who loses his life for my sake shall find it. He who loses his life for my sake. And who is saying this? Christ is saying this. Jesus is saying this. Means what? He who loses his life means practical. For my sake means what? Now we have to understand in same context. Jesus means like Krishna, divinity. For sake of divinity, spirituality, he finds it. Means what? One by one, drop your objective pursuits. Drop them. There is a vast universe of experiences and abundance waiting for you in the inner world. It is just incredible. If you feel this is beautiful, which is, then the inner universe is 1,000 times beautiful. It's like this. Sometimes I feel in my head, these are my own examples. Imagine how our parents must be feeling. Because in their childhood or in their teenage, depending on how old your parents are, the television was black and white. Now, if you take them to a 3D IMAX, 4D nowadays, no? Everything moves also. 3D IMAX, how will they feel? No? Imagine your mother used to watching television black and white, flat, nothing happening, two-dimensional, two-color. And now you take her to IMAX 3D. Yeah, that Harry Potter is flying, you feel like he's just gonna go past you. Remember first time you saw 3D, no? How was it? It's really, forget that. Now even more, virtual reality. If you give your mother virtual reality goggles, she'll be like this. That qualitative difference is the difference between practical world and inner universe. Anyway, how much I speak will be less because it's experiential. So, and that's why Christ says it is easier for camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. What does this mean? Don't try to shove a camel in the eye of a needle. It's not about that. It's an analogy. Unless the rich man drops his attachments, rich doesn't mean literally rich as in I have 5 million in my bank. Not like this. Rich means richly involved in objective reality. Unless he is ready to drop that objective reality. It's impossible. It is impossible. It's really like this. You are holding a heap of stones in your hands, in your palms. And your guru says, drop these stones. They have no value. I will give you equivalent amount of diamonds. It's ready. Diamonds are there in hands of the guru and your hands are full of heap of stones. Worthless heap of stones. But then you're like, no, but I'm carrying these stones since last 20 years. They're almost a part of me. Like that Mr. Big from Fantastic Four. They're almost a part of me. See, they almost look like my hands. I don't want diamonds. These have been with me, so I will keep. But the Guru is telling you, but these are diamonds. Each more precious than the other. Amount of abundance, amount of fortune, amount of wealth that's going to come to you just when you take these diamonds. You just have to, and it's easy. That's it. You don't have to like go and wash your hands and nothing like that. Nothing. You just turn your palms and those stones will be dropped. Then bring your palms together again and bang, those diamonds will be on your hand. But our problem is just doing this. This is not happening. I can't move. No, just. But the Guru is not going to like this. No. He will wait. Guru will wait for 1,000 years for you to invert your palm. Guru will not say, what's this rubbish? No. That is Guru's need, and change such a Guru. And really it is like the peace, the contentment. And I will scream on top of my voice from mountain tops, and still it will just hit here. Unless you practice, unless you do your sadhana, unless those little experiences keep coming, it will not convince. It will not be convincible. So right now look at it as hypothesis. And contemplate how much. I will give you many exercises like this. Another topic to contemplate is how hard I hold on to things that are of least consequence in my life. How hard or how strongly I hold on, I grab on to things that are of really Least consequence or no consequence in my life. And then you will make a list if you want. We have a long list, all of us. And you will realize, oh my goodness, these really don't matter. Especially nowadays on online, like this social media. Social media is nice. I'm a big supporter of social media. But what you want to get involved in? I see so many unnecessary arguments going on, and everybody wants to show how my opinion is better than your opinion, and this and that, and comments, 75 comments, 90 comments. I don't know who reads it. Why? So the second verse is very important. So remember this, Sanyasa, renunciation is a state of mind, is a frame of mind. So write this down. Renunciation is not something superficial, it is an attitude of mind and not an external act. Renunciation is a attitude or a frame of mind and not an external act. And the transformation happens by changing the attitude and not by giving up action. This is important line. Transformation, the real transformation happens by changing the attitude and not by merely giving up the action. Giving up the action is also important, but not just giving up the action. Means what? Now I am a smoker. I want to stop smoking. So I have to stop smoking, no? I cannot say, no, true renunciation is in the mind. I will not give up smoking. I will wait for mind to tell me not to smoke. No, you have to pull back from the gross involvement also. Now this has been practiced across spiritual board through fasting. In every religion you have fasting. In India we call it upavas. And in every religion, fasting has become a big show off. You see, every religion, including, you come to India, I am fasting today. I am fasting. So, morning no breakfast, afternoon no lunch, evening no tea, but dinner, triple the size. And the whole day, that person is thinking, oh, what will I eat for dinner? What will I eat for dinner? Today is my second day of fast. Yesterday I ate pasta. Today I will eat pizza. Where will I go? So where is the renunciation? In every, even in Lent, you see Lent, people are just waiting. It's worse. In Ramadan, Ramadan, the main topic of discussion is the sweets that you get. Isn't it? People who have stayed in country from predominantly Muslim countries, even in India, there are predominantly Muslim areas where everybody goes, Hindus, Muslims, everybody goes in the night to eat. So the whole sanctity of fasting, why are we fasting? To be close to Allah. All that is finished. Whole day you are thinking, that's sweet after sunset. I'm just going to go and eat triple the size. In India we call it upavas. Upavas, it's beautiful word. Upa, U-P-A, vas, V-A-A-S. U-P-A, upa, like upavishta konasana. Upavas, V-A-A-S. Now, upa means next to, and vas means to be or to exist. So, what is the root of the word upavas? Means to be next to. To be next to what? Not food, to God. So, the whole idea is that whole morning from sunrise to sunset, you don't do anything but dedicate yourself completely to your spiritual practice. That's why in India many women will do this upavas. You know why? Because women had limited avenues of pursuing their spiritual path because of many reasons. One of the paths that they used for their liberation was bhakti or devotion. So upavas was a very good way for them. For example, every Thursday one woman will do her fasting. That means what? She will be allowed to not do her cooking and everything for the family. So that day, from morning sunrise to sunset, she will just be doing her prayers, her chanting, her whatever. And some other person from the household will take over the function of cooking. So that day for her was an exclusive day to be close to God. Not fasting. Nowadays I see people really, many times I meet people in India. There's a fasting after fasting after fasting after fasting. Today I have Monday fast for Shiva. Tomorrow I have fast for Ganesha on Tuesday. Thursday a fast for Guru. Saturday fast for Hanuman. Because every day is a day for some god in India. So they are fasting every day. And I really believe that many Indian women are hiding their anorexia behind fasting. I have so many friends myself, so many relatives, they are anemic, but today I am fasting. It's a way of self-sabotage. But in your eyes what you do? I am fasting for God. Which God is your mother? Which mother would like a child suffer like this? So please understand, if you want to do the fasting and all these rituals with a good state of mind, not just because they are some religious dogma or something like that. And real fasting is detachment. If you read Gospel of Matthew chapter 10, and I always advise this, I suggest that you go home and read Gospel of Matthew chapter 10, because it is Christ's instruction to his disciples before they go out to preach his wisdom. So what is he saying? Some incident happens. So the people ask that why can't such miracles like you do, Christ, your disciples, why can't they do it? So he says, such things happen through fasting and prayer. There are two words that he uses, and they have fasting and prayer. Look, abhyasa, vairagya. Christ says, if you want to come up at my level of miracles, means not like magic. Miracle means my level of spiritual height, where you can heal people and contribute to the world, you will need to do two things, fasting and prayer. Prayer is what? Abhyasa. Fasting is what? Vairagya. It's not literal. It's not literal. Please. All spiritual books will be written in symbolic way. And this is why it's good. And this is why it's bad also. Because this creates our dogmatic religion. People take it literally. Fasting. Oh, Christ said fasting. Let's fast. Let's stay hungry. Fasting is in detachment. You know, Saint Francis, he was the son of a rich merchant, cloth merchant. And when he wanted to pursue God, he married Miss Poverty. He said, "No, you are not married." "No, I am married. I am married Miss Poverty." Okay, so please understand, you don't have to give up everything and live on the streets. That's also not what I'm saying. I'm saying again, remember the glue. What kind of the glue you want to be? Okay, so two more verses from Bible just for your reference. You may not write the whole thing, just write the verse number. And they are very, very good verses. James, book of James, chapter 1, verse 22. What is he saying? Be the doers of the word, not hearers only. Be the doers of the word, W-O-R-D. Means whatever Christ has said, do it, not only hear it. Because by only hearing and not doing, you will be deceiving yourself. James 1:22. Be the doers of the word and not only hearers, deceiving yourself. Exactly. Even Christ is telling us to come back to sadhana. And other one is Matthew chapter 7 verse 21. What is he saying in that? Chapter 7, 21. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter kingdom of heaven. You see, so beautiful. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter kingdom of heaven. But the one who does the will of my Father, who is in heaven, will actually enter the heaven. Means what? Zip your mouth and it's a good thing coming on the first day of our silence. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, means everyone who praises from the mouth will not enter heaven. But the one who lives the spiritual path based on spiritual principles, has more chances, but has more chances of entering heaven. Entering heaven again means not some state, some place, but a state.